I studied antique restoration for about 3 years there. Once I graduated, I think the day after I graduated, I landed my first really big job with, I think it was the Queen of Jordan in centre of London. And I actually got 3 of my tutors to work for me. I just started my business the next day. And then I was on site with my tutors and other people from my course working for me. Which is quite scary. I mean, it was such a leap into things. And as time passed, I worked at a restoration company for a year, sort of just learning the basics, and then started my own business properly about nine years ago now. And I haven't looked back. That's a lie. There were a few times I was thinking of looking back because, you know, every business has its up and down days. But I pressed on, and this is where I am now.
Yeah, I think that is a really inspiring story, and as you say, you know, really showing people that there are many different jobs out there and not just the obvious ones. So that's fantastic. So thinking about what you do, there are many parallels between what we do in innovation and as part of the processes you do on Repair Shop. So one of the things that we would do at the start of the week is that we would break down the problem into its component pieces to really understand what is the problem. And I guess when you're tackling a repair, you know, one of the things that you do is actually strip it back to its bits. So when we think about those parallels, have you had a repair where you think, oh my, it's been the hardest repair that you've ever done and has really provided challenge?
Yes. Yes. I think it was actually my first day at the Repair Shop barn back in 2017. And there's one thing, repairing something in your own workshop, in your own space, you know where everything is. And there's something completely different being not just in another workshop, but also be surrounded by cameras. So there's that pressure of doing something and getting it right. And there was a writing table that came in, and it had drawers going down the side. I think on one side they were real drawers, the other side they were fake drawers. Someone broke into the person's house with an axe and tried to break into it, and they hacked all down the side of the fake drawers, wondering why these drawers aren't opening, but it's actually just a fake panel. Absolute carnage, so much damage. And it was quite shocking because I was quite nervous about trying to fix it in general, let alone doing it on camera and surrounded by my peers, which are all sort of very well known and respected in their own fields. And yeah, I was quite worried about it because the veneer was this sort of lovely walnut. There's a certain grain to it. It needed a lot of work doing. And I think I started working on it inside the barn, looking very confident, getting the right veneers out, colour matching and things. But it looked awful. It looked absolutely awful. And I remember one of my tutors telling me years ago, if you're colour matching something, take it out into natural light because that's going to show you the true colour of the wood and the veneer and everything else. So I'd taken it outside. I mean, it looked all right inside the barn. It's quite dark. When I had taken it outside, it looked really bad. So I colour matched everything outside in the natural light, blended it all in, brought it back into the barn, and it looked amazing. So it's sort of taking a big problem there, working out how to solve it based on like my past experiences and remembering sort of that kind of training that I had years ago, taking it outside, and it made a massive difference. But it's sort of, I think sometimes thinking about these past experiences or breaking things down as to why something's not working and how to tackle it. But for me, something as easy as taking it outside really helped.
Have you had a repair that's your proudest one, the one that you think is, oh my goodness, I can't believe I managed to do that, and just had a little bit of a moment about how skillful you are?
Well, I always try to be quite humble about these things. I always like something that comes in looking completely ruined, and most people would just think, do you know what, skip it. But, you know, I'm really big on sustainability and saving stuff from landfill. And I also like something that comes and looks really bad. It gives me a chance to show off and make it look lovely. There have been a few items. There was a small table with sort of thousands of tiny bits of mother of pearl inlay and tiny bits of wood. And I think someone had put like a hot pot on there and everything had peeled off and bubbled up. It looked absolutely awful, but I could see the potential. I worked a bit of magic and it looked absolutely wonderful. The owners loved it and I loved it. But I think sort of the proudest moment for me, so my grandfather restored antique furniture for years and I would quite often go and see him for lunch every Friday. And I would go to him with problems. If I have a problem with something I'm working on, but a cabinet actually came in ruined. It needed so much work, and he didn't think it was possible to fix it. So I wanted to prove him wrong. And I worked so hard, and I worked really late into the evenings, and I did such a fantastic job. And I remember going back to see him for lunch 2 weeks later, and I showed him the picture on my phone, and he got really emotional. I got emotional because I always try to impress him because, you know, he's a skilled craftsman. He knows his things, and he was very proud. And I think that's one of the first times I've really seen him getting quite emotional. And that made me feel very proud in turn. So.
Oh, that's a really, really lovely story, and I think that.
I'm getting emotional thinking about it.
Oh, I think that's lovely. Talking about emotional, I love Repair Shop, and but I'm not even a really soppy person, but I'm watching it through my tears. I find it really, really emotional to watch. So I don't know how you guys hold it together. I really don't, because some of the stories and, you know, some of the reactions from people, I literally couldn't hold it together. So have you ever had it where it's been tough and you're working through tears?
Yes, yes, quite a lot. I mean, where my bench is, I can see all the arrivals and when things are being picked up, and you hear the stories and it goes into your head, and you can see how much these things mean. I'm constantly trying not to cry and look quite professional, especially when you're handling really sharp tools. You don't really want to have tears in your eyes. But I mean, it's really made me realise how we cherish things so much that have been passed down, and a lot of these items are quite tactile. So to know that your great grandmother has held that box or that chair, it's really nice to have that link there and to try to preserve it. And I think we've all got those pieces at home, so we can kind of relate. And a lot of the stories of, you know, family that passed away, there's always something that you can kind of relate to. And you can see how these things really mean so much to people. So there's the added pressure to do a really good job. I mean, thankfully, I haven't done any bad jobs. That'd be absolutely awful. We've never had tears of really upset people, thankfully, only tears of joy.
That's really good, and I think that that building on from that, I think that there will be things that go wrong. And again, this is something that is really key to innovation, that we have to be quite brave. And there is quite a lot of risk involved in what we do, because we know that probably only about 4 out of 10 projects will ever succeed. And even that is quite a good statistic. So therefore, you know that you're going to have some projects that you have to fail quickly on and just move on and accept that the time isn't right, the technology wasn't right. So I was wondering if you've ever had an instance where you've actually had a failure and you've had to just, you know, move away from it.
I don't think I've been able to allow myself to have a failure, because I can't go back to someone and say, you know, your great granny's chair, yeah, I couldn't fix it, so I put it in the bin. Everything I've done, I've had to, by hook or by crook, have it fixed and have it sorted out. But I mean, I've had a few business failures that I've had to work around more so than the actual physical restoration side. And I remember, I think in my first year of starting up my company, there's this American lady which has sort of gone down as a legend. I don't know if it's a legend, but it's not a good thing in my family, where I restored a desk for her and I did take a deposit. There's no real paper trail of any agreement or anything. I didn't have any terms and conditions. It was just done on sort of, you're going to pay me when I've done this, right? And, you know, it's all sort of done on good faith. And I restored her table. I spent hours and hours of time fixing it up, painting in it, getting leather made up, inserting everything else. And it sat in my workshop for about 2 years because I tried to track her down. I didn't have all of her details there. And then she kept on emailing me saying, oh, I'm a bit depressed at the moment. I can't be dealing with this. Or something about her sister, something happened to her sister. There's an excuse after excuse. And I didn't really have any power to kind of get that money because I had no paperwork, because I had a real business training. I mean, I went to university to find out how to polish a table, not how to run a company. So it was a real crash course in what you should and shouldn't do. And I ended up saying, you know, I'm moving workshop, which was a total lie. But I said, look, I'm moving workshop. You need to pick up your desk. And do you know what? She came the next day. So it's anyone I threatened that I'm leaving it. But I did say, I'm going to be leaving and I'll be leaving your desk here. And I'll be leaving anyway. And then she said, you've got no authority to leave my desk anywhere. Where's your paperwork stating that you can do this, that, and the other? So I felt myself real backed into a corner where I couldn't just throw a desk in the bin. And I was storing it and it's costing me money. It was, it was a real stressful time because I couldn't just throw it in the bin and I didn't have any other kind of power there. But she came in and she picked it up and I think she gave me 30 quid or something, which is an insult. And that didn't cover the stress of my therapist bills after this. But she picked it up and, you know, it was such a relief to see that leaving my workshop. And it was a good lesson to, you know, make sure that you cover yourself, make sure you've got everything organised and sorted. All my paperwork now, my terms and conditions, emailing, no matter how friendly I am with people, make sure you've got a paper trail. It was a disaster. It was a disaster for 2 years. I'd have nightmares. I mean, it's really bad. But I got it sorted out in the end. And she did say, oh, I'm suing this really big bank for millions because this, that, and the other. I mean, it's total rubbish. But I'm going to get a big win out of this bank and I'm going to pay you back. And I just thought, okay, that was about 3 years ago and I've had nothing. So total rubbish, absolute disaster, but massive lessons learned, massive lessons learned.
If I look at how the repairs work in the repair shop, a lot of it is around collaboration. So you obviously work with, you know, many talented colleagues that all have their own unique skills and things to bring to the party. And I love the way that you all come together and pass on an item, or as you say, when we've broken it down into its bits, then, you know, it'll go off to the various different people to do, you know, their area of expertise, and then it all comes back together beautifully. And I love that. And I think that also draws some very strong parallels in how we need to work in innovation, because not one person will have all of the answers. So we need to work with many different people, which is what the festival does. It brings together lots of people with different skill sets and different knowledge to create something new and to build something that's ready for the future. So in the repair shop, I guess that there's some parallels there. So what's it like working in that environment, with that teamwork space?
I mean, for me, it was completely different because I've come from a workshop where it's just me, and where there's problem solving, it's just me talking to me. And I've kind of had to be a bit of a jack of all trades where, you know, as a furniture restorer, that entails wood turning, French polishing, wood carving, a bit of upholstery. But I wouldn't say that I am, you know, the world's best upholsterer, but I can do bits of different things. Whereas at the repair shop, I mean, I think we've got over 600 years of experience under one thatch barn roof. Wow. And everyone's got different perspectives, different viewpoints, different skill sets. And it's really made me kind of put up my hands and say, look, this certain thing I could try to do, but I think someone else here will be better at doing it. And I think it's sort of learning when to sort of say, this is not me, I need to ask for a bit of help. That's been a big learning curve, because part of me wants to sort of show that, oh yeah, I can problem solve that myself. I can do this, I can do that. But actually to sort of say, look, let's put our heads together and we can really do something amazing and do it right the first time round. So collaboration, I mean, and working on an item together, sharing advice over a cup of tea or something. I mean, however we do it, whether it's working on an item together or just talking about thoughts and ideas, it all comes down to collaboration and that sort of problem solving as well. I mean, they are absolutely amazing in the barn. They're absolutely amazing. It's really funny because I think someone's chair broke the other day, and then Dom came in from outside. He took the chair outside and he welded the chair, and then it was fixed. And that wasn't someone's item, but it's like anything can come in and there's someone there that can do it. But it's all about sharing the ideas. And one of the great things is someone like Steve, our clock restorer, he's been restoring clocks for many years, and he's always teaching me things, and I've taught him, and I know I've taught him a few things, okay, and he'll admit that, but I've never felt that just because he's older than me or he's had more experience in his field that he knows that he's sort of better than me or something like that. We are all equals in the barn, no matter how many years we've been doing things for. And I think that you can always learn something new from other people.
It must be fantastic to be doing something that you genuinely love doing.
I mean, I'm really lucky. So I went to the repair shop yesterday morning and I parked up, and it's such a beautiful walk from where I parked my car down to the barn. There's pheasants running across the fields. The sun was coming through the trees. It was beautiful. And I just thought, I can't believe this is my job. This is my job. I'm going to go into the barn, have a little cup of tea, say good morning to everyone, do something that I love doing. I'm already thinking about what I'm going to do. I'm going to polish that, leave that to dry. I love doing what I'm doing. I mean, I kind of feel like, yeah, just blessed to do what I'm doing and inspiring other people as well. I mean, it's a fantastic job. So it'd be great for younger people to have opportunities to kind of explore different things, but not just younger people. There's lots of people that have wanted to change their career. I mean, especially with COVID and things, people unfortunately losing their jobs and retraining. I've had loads of emails from older people that are looking to get into more creative things and saying, you know, I've worked in finance for 20 years, but actually I'd really like to start making things. So there are people out there, but it's just sort of opening up those avenues for them to sort of get into work.
I wonder if you could leave a message for our Innovation Festival audience about what they're doing in the week.
A problem shared is a problem halved. So keeping things all to yourself, if you're stressing about things and something's not working, talking to people really helps. And I think a lot of people might be too shy or embarrassed about sort of admitting that they're stuck with something. But I think that the majority of the time, if you just speak to people, people want to help you. And I think if more people did that, the world would be a better place.
I think that's a lovely message to impart. I did mention that my son's favourite was the clock guy, but my mum's favourite is you. So don't worry, you have got a super fan out there. Jenny is absolutely so excited that I'm having this conversation with you today.
Yeah, it's interesting that lots of younger guys really like Steve and his clocks, but a lot of ladies of a certain age seem to be my fans. It's fantastic. I love it. It's great.
It is, and in the repair shop, there literally is somebody for everybody. You know, all of those skills, all of those talents, inspiring people in so many different ways. It's just what's not to like about that. So, thank you for bringing so much joy to the screens and watching those repairs, and the joy that you bring to those people when they get their objects back is just something to behold. So very, very special. You make a lot of people very happy. Thank you very much, Will Kirk.
Thank you very much.